There's things in life you simply need to know, like sun and rain and trust and letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end.
So hey my peeps, this be Chicken Man here, and let me tell ya, we're back for another episode of Season of 12 Colors, and if you couldn't tell before, I've been recording these episodes back to back consecutively, and I just came back from steeping some tea, and let me tell you, I ended up touching the metal part of the kettle, and it was cold to the touch, and I'm like, how is this possible? Where could the time have been? And let me tell you, I can't think of many pieces that end up doing that for me, but the tea that I ended up steeping, believe it or not, is another jasmine tea. Imagine that. What a coincidence, huh? So, too bad you can't see me, because I'm beaming right now, like the steam from a nice cup of jasmine tea is filling my nostrils, and I'm just ready to go for another episode. This game, it does have me asking questions, and there's a lot of things that I want to know about Jasmine in particular, and I know that it's got a lot left to say, so let's hop into it and see what Chapter 5 has for us that will wow us. After dinner, Uncle stopped me when I was about to leave. He wanted to talk about what happened today. Today? I didn't recall anything special. Maybe I shouldn't have threatened those kids. Well, I admitted it was childish of me. Those were 7, 8-year-olds, and I must have been like a giant to them. But they were not without their fault either. That's not what you wanted to talk about? Uncle was sitting across the table. He had an extremely serious look on his face. Oh no, this... I couldn't help but sit up straight. Do you... After a long pause, he finally spoke. Do you remember your little cousin? Tangerine, do you remember what happened to her? I did. Or should I say, I should have remembered. But for some unknown reason, it escaped me for this long. What happened that summer? 3 years ago, I was still in primary school. I came to my uncle's house for summer vacation. Without anyone to play with who was my age, only a little girl following me around everywhere. She was my uncle's daughter, my little cousin, 6 years younger than I was. A chit of a girl whose hair was not quite black enough. Everybody called her Tangerine. She was a troublemaker at heart, and what's worse, Tangerine just couldn't stand being alone. She used to follow her mom around all the time. With my arrival, she simply wouldn't leave me alone. In short, she had caused me trouble in every way possible. But, had I not brought her along that day, would things be different? Fists banged on the fence. Hey! Hey! From the other side of the fence, I heard someone calling in a suppressed voice. I looked up. It was the kid I caught earlier today, but Jasmine let him go. Hey-oh! He tiptoed around. Hi, could you tell me about that girl? Is she still angry at us? He was speaking in a hushed voice as though afraid of being caught. That girl? Of course he meant Jasmine, about Jasmine. In my mind's eye, for one flashing instant, I saw her figure clearly. My heart throbbed. About her, Jasmine was... I bit my lip hard. Hey, hey! When I didn't answer, the little kid tried to lean in closer. If she's still angry, please tell her that we are really sorry. Would you? The words didn't register for a while. Or perhaps my mind was just elsewhere. Apologize? Yes, because we can't go there anymore. There was a reason. Everyone got scolded harshly. A reason why nobody was allowed to go there. When you see her tomorrow, would you bring her this for me? Through the fence, he handed me a paper plane made from notebook paper. I picked it up, but I forgot to give it back to her, the kid muttered, scratching his head. Please bring this to her and tell her that we are all really sorry for what we did. Thank you. From afar, the sound of adults could be heard. The little boy ran away in a hurry. Okay, so far this chapter is raising a lot of questions, like the conversation that the uncle started that got cut off and we didn't have a conclusion to that there was something important in there. Something that the game ain't telling me, and I don't know, it's got me a little on edge. Who's Tangerine? What happened to Tangerine? Like, Uncle wouldn't have been so serious if what happened to Tangerine wasn't anything to brush off. So something happened, but from what I don't know. Will it go back to peaceful times in the fields? I'm not entirely certain at this point. All we can do, though, is go forward, so forward we shall go. What a way to just start this chapter. Wow, okay. And is it just me, or is anybody noticing a drastic tone shift right about now? Like, I was literally top of the world, ready to go more good times in the field, got the tea ready, and then not good times in the field. It rained. I stood for a long time in the rain before I was aware of it. Even the weather was the same as that day. It was my aunt who pulled me back into the house. She helped me dry my hair and scolded me. Tangerine was nowhere to be found. Don't go there anymore. This warning from my aunt was all I had remembered.
学好了
It's a promise, right? The girl in the white dress said. In my dream, the sky had been filled with sunlight, so bright it hurt my eyes. But there had been sounds of rain, the voice of a girl, words of promise to come again. She called me, treated me like her own big brother, followed me around, and in the darkness of the night, I sneezed and woke myself up. My head felt hot and my mind was spinning. Had I caught a fever? Achoo! Hopefully it would get better with a good night's sleep. Sunbeams woke me up in the early morning. Fortunately, I was up a bit earlier than the little girl. Normally, the girl would just jump onto my sheets without warning and scare me awake. I felt grateful this time. The little girl tiptoed around and almost reached me. Wah! I jumped up without warning. She fell to the floor and giggled. Get up already, you little orange girl.
不是橘子啦
Okay, so this is memory. She protested and clung to me, my little 6-year-old cousin.
娜娜哥哥，今天去哪儿玩？跳皮筋还是丢沙包？
Hey, where will we go today? What will we play? She skipped around me and somehow made sure to be in my way all the time. Let's go into the woods on an adventure. How about that? I wanted to scare her off. After all, I was about to enter junior high, much too mature to play with this little kid.
啊，我要去！
Take me. Okay, failed. I threatened her with rumors of tigers, bears, and wild boars. The girl was full of tears, but still I couldn't even peel her off my back. In the end, I had to take her. I talked as if it would be a great adventure, but really there was nothing. It only took me 3 days to go around and get familiar with the woods. In summary, there were trees and trees, and then some more trees. A tractor was parked over there around the hillside, nothing else. And yet, on that miraculous day, a whole new world had been discovered. As we climbed the hillside and had almost arrived at the hilltop, among the thick growth there was a wide clearing. Surrounded by treetops, high above was a patch of blue sky covering us like a dome. Soft grass covered the ground, decorated by colorful wild flowers. And in the middle of this, just like in the fairy tales, a small house stood quietly. And there was more. It had been a knock that woke me up. I skipped breakfast. Aunt made coffee for me specifically. I felt sorry for this. It was all my fault. That was when we met her, the girl with the wide-brimmed straw hat and a white dress, about the same age as me. Her name was Jasmine. She had remained unchanged since then. No, she seemed even more mature at the time. Not as much as a kid as now. My fingertips touched something. It had been in the pocket of my jeans all this time, a piece of paper. Oh, it was a paper plane the kid gave me yesterday. On the notebook paper there were words written, a child's handwriting. Daddy told me, stars like a straight line. It only goes one way. But occasionally there had exceptions. Lines could cling when indifferent in a short period it was possible to. The paper was somewhat smeared by rainwater. Words were missing, only leaving faint yellow touches. I put down the piece of paper and laid back. If only I could ask. If only I could directly ask the person who wrote it. But that would not be possible. I could not go there anymore myself. The reason? Yesterday Uncle told me to stay away from the place. I rejected fiercely. The reason? I had known all along. Of course, it was my fault. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have brought Tangerine. Jasmine was a nice girl. She had been so sweet and kind. Treated us as though we were her own little brother and sister. We were only a little younger than she was, though. Jasmine liked to watch us play. We asked her to join a few times. She always smiled and shook her head. Why? Jasmine said that she was a big girl. She had grown out of children's games. That was a lie. She was not that much bigger than we were. But she really was like an older sister, or even a mother. Smiling gently and watching over us, she encouraged us, and plotted for us, and laughed with us when something funny happened. Despite all this, she never joined us. There was only one exception. It was when she taught us to make paper planes. A piece of rectangular notebook paper, folded once in half. Carefully, she then folded the edges down twice. Its wings spread out. A beautiful paper plane was born. I had to admit defeat. I thought I made pretty decent paper planes, but compared with Jasmine's, they had been nothing. She folded the best paper planes in the swiftest way. They always looked good and flew far. Could it possibly fly into the sky, just like a real plane? Like always, Jasmine just smiled and shook her head quietly. Alright, so this chapter changed things up quite a bit. I get the feeling that chapter 6 is going to be an absolute endgame of a chapter, and especially with this dramatic tone shift that just happened. I know there's something up with this story. Something happened to Tangerine, and I'm getting to the bottom of it. I hope you guys will join me next time as we find out what happened. So stay tuned for that. And as always, see y'all peeps. This be Chicken Man out. Till next time.